everybody, just doing a little bit of a status update on the Musty Wargamer Oldhammer project, as well as just going to talk a little bit about upcoming stuff, both in the fantasy stuff as well as updates after this challenge, more on the historical side, just things that I'm planning on doing. And so, hope you like that little display of my Beast Lord. This one I really enjoyed painting up. Kind of was a bit of a interesting start. I mean, I find sometimes when I just put the base paint on, it has that sort of 3-tone or 4-tone look, you know, without any of the detailing or details painted, and you're not quite sure which way it's going to go. It's always really nice to see something come together, and in the end, I do think that he turned out pretty nicely. The only thing I really haven't done is put the varnish on him, so technically he's done, because some people don't varnish, but I always varnish just about everything, but particularly metal models. So that I'll probably matte down a little bit of the gloss that you see on the black, because I definitely, I highlighted grays as well in this black, but I'll probably just tone that down slightly, that shine. But other than that, kind of happy with the way the rusted kind of look. Initially, he was really quite shiny because I did it just a gunmetal with the chainmail, and just getting myself a pointer here. I did the gunmetal with the chainmail, but then up here is really, I knew I was going to do like a plate kind of look, but in the end I opted a bit of rust on that, and so yeah, I think it came out kind of nice. But yeah, you guys have seen this, and he's the only miniature I have like him. I have another one like him where he has a battle axe behind him, like that he's about to wield, and I should say two. I have 2 of those models because I got them in a nice local deal, and I got the 3 of them together. And I opted to buy both of those battle axe ones where he's swinging over the back of his head, only because I thought I'd use one from Mordheim, and I could use technically the one from Mordheim, but I thought I'd base one of them like my Mordheim Beastmen and have like a cobblestone look and maybe paint them differently. And so I did that. I probably would have did the same with this guy if there were 2 available. Of the 2, I like this one a little bit better, just in his pose. So yeah. So I also showed the Giant fully completed with I kind of showed him on and off a little bit over time and work in progresses, so he's been kind of a long time coming to put him up on the turntable, but I think he came out kind of nice. I had a little trouble initially with the skin look that I wanted to achieve. I was having trouble getting the nice balance of contrast that I wanted. I wanted him to be darker rather than a really bright skin Giant, because he's with the Beastmen. I just thought, and he's a Chaos, I just wanted something different. I wanted him darker. We'll see. I'll probably do a different type of skin tone for the other model I have like this that I'm painting it more as that Works in Goblins one. But for now, this guy will be good to use. Up next, I've kind of showed these guys as far as when they were metal, but sometimes it's easier to see the details when they're actually got the, let's see here, try to get some shadows with my light here. But sometimes it's easier to see details when you've got them primed. I'm looking forward to painting this unit. I have another, this is 20 here, I have another 20 just like this to paint up in the future. And what I did notice that I didn't quite appreciate at first was that I knew that they're not monopose, because for the actual Bestigors there are 3 different variations, but the 3 variations are actually quite cool. They actually have 3 different armor types. It's kind of hard to see to appreciate it, but let me see if I can find my, yeah, these are the 3. So they all are wielding the axe at 3 different heights. And so if I go here like this, the most apparent thing at first you see is that they're essentially, let's see if I can get on the green here, so not just in a sea of white behind you. You have the one that's sort of at a medium height, the one that's the highest kind of being held here, and then you have the one that is all pulled back the most, held high but pulled back. They also have 3 different types of armor, as far as I can tell, which creates some variety in painting options. Actually, just give me 1 second. Sorry about that. Some of the trouble that I was having is that I had my camera still on manual focus for the turntable. But as you can see here, this one has, I would say almost like a leather type. Well, I guess it's more like a scale mail is what I would describe it as. That's more like a scale mail, not leather. Like the very top here, it's like a rectangular piece, and I thought maybe it was like flaps of leather, but I think it's more of like a scale mail as far as I can tell there. And so that's one style, which is really cool. Like, it looks really nice. And then this one here is interesting. He has like plates on a fabric, so they're like metal plates, and then of course chain on his mask. But if you go around here, the majority of it are these plates that are kind of almost like attached to a fabric. It looks very cool. And then lastly, this one here, I believe he has almost pure chain. Like, yeah, it's primarily all chainmail. So very different, right? And leaves a lot of opportunity for painting variations among the group. And so I haven't quite decided exactly how I'm going to do that, but I think you can probably guess or be sure that I'm gonna do something different for each one, so I create some variety within the group. Yeah, the only other thing that it is hard to see here, I realize. I guess maybe it isn't much better than metal. At least looking through the camera, it's really quite bright. This particular standard bearer is the best to gore standard bearer, I believe, because I don't think he came with the gore packs that way, although I got a lot of mine used. I believe I do have actually I did get actually one of my standards for my gores brand new, and it's a different model, and I've not painted this model yet, which makes sense. So he's really cool. He's got that sort of goat kind of look, and I think he might be the only one in this group that I paint my gray scheme. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I think I'll do my champion. I typically do this guy in a gray scheme because he has that goat look. So I think I'll paint these guys my gray scheme. And then the rest will be my red and brown scheme that I did for my gores. And so that'll be fun. I'm kind of looking forward to that. And, you know, that would be similar. Even my, this guy, although he has a lot less skin in the game, he's pretty covered in armor. He is sort of my brown scheme, not my, I have a reddish brown and a brown scheme. And if you look in his face in particular, like, he is the brown, more of the brown tone. And so I'll probably, I'll carry that on through with these. So I did actually start investing in something that I'm a little surprised myself about this. I chat with Jankmaster a lot about old models, like buying old models and through the trading groups. And when I had told him about this, he had said, that's how I kind of get started collecting a lot. You might want to be careful, or something to that effect. He was kind of saying, I think, sort of humorously. And you know, I have that Orcs and Goblins army to do, and I've primarily got it going. I mean, it's primarily a Goblin army now, but I have some Orcs to add into the mix, and I got a really good deal, and I thought, I can't pass this up because I already have the army. And so I have that to do, and I'll be adding units to it over time, and that'll be another army for my fantasy games. And I'm really kind of getting into this idea of playing 6. I've been reading the rules, and I've been reading the War Band supplement out of White Dwarf, where you can play smaller engagements initially. And so more scenario, like sort of scenario driven. I don't know about more scenario driven, but scenario driven with more of an escalation model of the game. And it's not skirmish, it's still the big mass battle rules, but just smaller war bands. So I'm really quite excited about that. And what I've been thinking a lot about is, I still have a ways to go to paint my Beastmen, But I've made, like particularly after this unit, I'll have made some significant progress. And I've been thinking towards the future of my collection within Warhammer Fantasy. And the thing that I think is missing, despite having the Orcs and Goblins, is I really would like to, ideally as a second army, I think what I really would have liked in the end is a good based army, like a what I perceive to be as good in the Warhammer world. That's questionable. And so something good to counter my beastmen, at least from a modeling and painting perspective and scenarios. They may not be always with every edition the best balance, you know, to try to pick one army as your counter, but I wanted something thematically that would be a good counter to my beastmen. Initially, I did have some Bretonnians, and none of the knights or some of the really expensive models, but I've had some Bretonnians, and I kind of thought to myself that as much as I like the Bretonnians, and I admire Dan Booman's Bretonnians, I don't really want to go down that route because of how expensive they are. They are really a highly desired army within Warhammer Fantasy, within the collecting, and some of the pricing is really quite extreme. Even all of this stuff is expensive, but some of the Bretonnian stuff's pretty expensive. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought that I would like to maybe consider something like this. So this is not painted by me, and these are actually kind of nicely painted, actually, and it's unfortunate that I will have to dip these and completely start from scratch with them, because I don't generally just use I don't generally buy painted and use those. I like to paint my own stuff, and I also like to just pick my own color scheme, which I don't know that this will be it. Maybe, but I don't know that I will. I actually got a really good deal on this, but this is actually not the first thing that I've gotten. So this is these are Swordmasters, 15 of them with command, and these are High Elves. And I thought I'd like High Elves to be my fantasy force that would counter my Beastmen, as far as having two armies that, you know, are somewhat thematically countered. And so I know Stig the Dump actually did some really nice videos on his High Elves, and he has really old stuff. I'm actually probably, like my Beastmen, going to have a combination of Oldhammer and what we would call Middle Hammer, like middle years of the metals. And these renditions of the Swordmasters are more Middle Hammer than old stuff, but they're quite nice. These would be really the same, probably rough generation as the Vestigores you see behind you, or my Gores, even that hero that I just had there. I do plan on getting some older stuff too, in certain instances, but I could have picked anything really, right? I kind of picked High Elves. They kind of appealed to me as a very different way of painting than my Beastmen. So I'm looking at most likely brightly color, like a lot of bright colors, a lot of white, a lot of stuff that I'm probably not doing with my Beastmen. So they'll look different on the field, and they'll allow me to work on different painting techniques. There'll be some, you know, freehand opportunities, as you can see on the flag that they have here. So that should be interesting. But what I did end up doing, and I'll do a video when I do get it, is I ended up, for me to do this, I really thought I need to get as much as I can in a bulk sale, because this stuff just gets way too expensive in shipping and to buying things piecemeal. And so I needed to find a good deal and get a bulk sale. And so I have made an investment in a High Elf army, and it's not complete by any means, but it has a lot of core and heroes and things like that, and it's missing some things, but I probably saved a lot of money in just buying like a future project all at once and just maybe adding some things to it. And so this was an example of one of those things I don't believe is that's another subject here. It's a bit of a lot where I didn't get to see everything, but I got to see a lot of it. And I don't believe by any means that this kind of elite unit is included. So I ended up picking this up for a good deal locally, no shipping involved. And yeah, so quite pleased to get this. When is this going to actually be done on the channel? I have no idea. I said that about the works too. I'm going to probably do a video in the future about next year, because like we're in mid-October now and we're finishing this Musty Wargamers challenge. I can tell you for sure that my priority for painting, and probably a lot of my folks that subscribe for historical purposes have already tuned out, but a lot of my painting over the next bit after this challenge is going to be French-Indian War. So my goal will be to finish my Brits and British artillery, and then to go right into my French and to work on my French, like a block of French. It's a little bit less, but not much less than the Brits I did before the summer, and then the artillery for them. And I believe I have maybe an officer unit, a couple other things maybe included, but I might have done with the stagecoach I did, some of those miniatures, the civilians that were with it. I have some little stuff that I've gotten with it. But my goal is to finish my French-Indian War stuff that I placed the order for, and that'll be a big block of painting time. I think it took me a little over a month to just do that unit of, I don't know, it was like 30 to 40 regulars that I did, although it was minus around 8 to 10 that I had to get resent to me. And so, yeah, I think that that will actually take up my time for a fair bit. I'm looking forward to getting into the historical mindset, for painting and stuff. And then after that, and that might even take me into the new year, but at one point, probably for a New Year's thing, I'll be talking about painting and projects for the next year after that. What I've accomplished this year, and and what we'll be looking at for next year. Okay, everybody. I hope you guys had a good week and are looking forward to the weekend. I know I am, because I'm off. And I will talk to you guys later.